Good morning and welcome to the regular board meeting for Tuolumne Utilities District, October 8th, 2024. Director Boatwright, would you lead us in the pledge to the flag, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, David. Okay, we'll open the public forum. We'd like to welcome the members of the public who have taken the time to attend this meeting, provide comments on matters related to district business. Any member of the public may address the board relating to any matter within the board's jurisdiction. This section is for comments on items not listed on the agenda. Persons speaking during the public comment will be limited to 5 minutes, or depending on the number of persons wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. While no action or discussion may be undertaken by the board on topics presented in this section, board members are listening carefully to those comments and appreciate your input. Is there any member of the public who'd like to address the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public forum. Melissa, item 2, consent calendar.
Okay, item number 1, minutes of the regular board meeting of September 24th, 2024. Item number 2, approval of reimbursement claims for director's statement of meetings attended and or travel expenses and claim summary for September 2024. Item number 3, reject claim for damages, claim number 24-06, Nick and Chelsea claimant. I apologize. Item number 4, reject claim for damages, claim number 24-07, Whale Hollow 1 Apartments. And item number 5, annual 66013D capacity charges report for year 2024.
Is there any director who'd like to pull any of the items?
I have a question on one of the items.
Sure.
Let me get it up here. If I can find it, computer's running a little bit behind. On the board minutes, it says minutes of the regular board meeting for September 24, but going under the actual minutes, oh, I'm sorry. I misread that, so I withdraw my question. But I thought there was a date that was incorrect.
Okay, great. Ron, Director Ringham, would you like to
Claim summary.
Claim summary? Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. I tried real hard not to have to pull this week, but just wasn't to be. Quick question. We've got, let me find it here. Michael Benjamin Nessie. And I've asked about this many months ago. I know who he is. He's an inspector, I believe, down at the wastewater treatment facility. We've got 2 inspectors running around out there that we're on contract with. And I'm just wondering, why do we have this ongoing charge when the wastewater treatment plant is up and running? Is anybody keeping track of this? I mean, and I don't mean that as a slice at you, Carolyn, because that's not really your job, but there should be somebody okaying that's sending it in to you. Why are we still got inspectors out on that and let's say Valley Vista? I don't think anything's happening out at Valley Vista.
Happy to respond. 2 questions, 2 answers. First, we're still closing out the regional wastewater treatment plant. That means there's a lot of project documentation, as-builts, final sort of warranty items, product information sheets, that kind of thing. I think this is the last invoice for Mike Nussel, but he was the only inspector we really had on that job. So this should be it for that. And then Valley Vista, we recently, we open cut across the highway. And so we had an inspector out there in addition to our own crews who did some potholing work for that project. And that's ongoing.
So we are forging, or not we, but the contractor is forging ahead with the sewer part. This is not gonna go back to
At-
Jamestown.
At risk, yes. And we do have controls in place. Our staff in the engineering department review all of these invoices. And before they get sent to finance, they are signed off and tracked.
Okay, I mean, we have an in-house inspector and it,
Unfortunately, we don't
I
anymore.
thought we did.
No, he has taken other employment, so we currently do not have an in-house inspector.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, anyway, I understand. I just, I sometimes worry about that because, hopefully they're on site actually looking and reporting and giving us something that's, tangible as an inspector. And this is, we're not just getting charged a fee because, you know, we get a warm fuzzy feeling, oh, we have an inspector. So, oh, we feel so good. You know, it'd be nice to know that these people are actually really truly looking at what's going on. I would hate to have another Neerich deal where the warranty period runs out after 1 year and 1 week, and then suddenly we're on the hook for fixing the problem that should have been caught during construction.
Yeah, I'm happy to show you the inspection reports. They're very detailed. They're in very good communication with our staff. So I think the inspector is doing more than just being a presence out there.
Well, that's good to hear. I would hope so. Thank you.
Anything else, Ron?
Nope.
Okay. Any other director have any questions about the consent calendar? Open it to the public. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board.
I'll move that we approve the consent calendar.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Balin and seconded by Director Ringen to approve the consent calendar. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, before you read that next item, Melissa, I need to recuse, be in the conference room.
Ready, Ron?
Yeah.
Okay, regular business item number 6. Consider approval of amendment number 1 to agreement regarding construction and transfer of a water main line extension to serve 10 residences in the community of Tuolumne Band of Miwok Indian.
All right, good morning, everyone. Antonio Ramirez, UD Engineering Department, Customer Service. So the item, you want to do the aerial first, Eric? Do you have that? So on July 10th, 2024, this board executed a development agreement with the Tuolumne Band of Miwok Indians for construction of approximately 4,004 linear feet of water main to serve 10 residences near the community of Tuolumne. So you can kind of see the boundary of the property that they're looking to develop. They don't know quite all the locations of the houses, so I don't have all those shown. But then we can go to let's go ahead and go to the exhibit, Eric, please. So that first project, you'll see here this dark gray dashed thick line. This is the original 4,004 feet of water main that was constructed. It's pretty much done. I think Matt was working with them last week on pressure testing and back T and that sort of thing. There's some work to be done there, but basically that pipeline is pretty much done. So the tribe now desires to improve fire flow and water system resiliency to this development, as well as provide for future potential development. To achieve this goal, the tribe is proposing to construct an additional 3,095 linear feet approximately of 8-inch water pipeline and related facilities at their expense and transfer them to the district upon completion. The tribe is also proposing to transfer approximately 900 feet of private 8-inch water main to the district upon completion of construction and field verification. So the first 3,095 feet are the red lines that you see. There's two segments there. One is a longer segment, which is actually intertying, not intertying, but looping water lines. Then there's a shorter segment that's attached to a light blue line you see there. The light blue line is the private line that I've mentioned, a line that was constructed by the tribe. Let's see if I get into that here. I'll go ahead and, so conditions 2 and 3 of the amendment identify processes for verifying the 900 linear feet of water line and that it was constructed to district standards. Documentation of the private water line and a field verification plan will be provided by the tribe and approved by district operations and engineering staff. The private water line, we do know, was constructed by the tribe within the past couple of years. It was and done so under the guidance of our inspector. He didn't actually inspect it or at least document it, but he worked with them to ensure that they were following all of our standard processes and specifications and that sort of thing. District staff believes there's a reasonable chance the private water line will meet testing and inspection requirements. District operations and engineering staff find the proposed facilities will achieve the tribe's objective of improving fire flow and system resiliency, not only within development, but also the district's existing customers in the surrounding area. So if approved, we would, receive capacity charges for the 10 residences. I've listed the standard fee of $89.69. However, in the original agreement, it also mentions that the tribe has a capacity credit in the Tuolumne system for water storage and water treatment. Because this will now be intertied, they can utilize that capacity credit, which their fees would then be about $3,078. So the reason I put the $89.69 is just that they know what it would be if they chose not to utilize the credit, but they can and probably will. This amendment was brought before the board on September 24th. It was voted to be tabled and brought to committee first. So that was done, and we went to committee on September 30th, where we discussed the project in detail, and the committee recommended that we take the item back to the board for consideration. So I think that's mostly what I have. I imagine you guys will probably have some questions, so I'd be happy to answer them.
Anybody on the board?
Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to jump in and just say that it went before committee, just to tag on, Antonio, to what you were saying. And at that point, the staff made the presentation, went into details, and you were there too, Ron, right? We really appreciate it. We got a lot of questions answered about, how does this look? How does this loop? And et cetera. And so I really appreciate that. So I just wanted to say right up front that that the committee recommends that this project get approved. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Okay, anyone else on board? Yes.
Yeah, I've got question. Antonio, on this furthest most southern point, is that a dead end on the water line?
Yes, there'll be a hydrant. I haven't showed where valves and hydrants were going to be on here because I didn't have the plans yet, but there's always some sort of blow off or hydrant. It'll be a hydrant.
Yeah, and that'll be in a position that it can be used since it seems like it's got a very extended length and
right.
So an 8-inch water line.
It ends at least one or two, I think 2 residences. I think there's one on the east and on the west side of the end point there. But again, there will be a hydrant, and Matt establishes a flushing routine. So if this line becomes stagnant, it's going to get flushed every July or February. If it becomes stagnant later in the year, and we find that it might have to be flushed more frequently than that.
And then the 900 feet of private water main, will that fall under the same dates of guarantee and warranty as the new construction that's
Yes.
going on this?
Yep.
That's all I have as far as questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Antonio. So I had a question about the 900 lineal feet of existing, and this may have been covered in committee. Unfortunately, I didn't hear that, but so it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So can you give us a little background about how that was established?
Yeah, so they, the tribe, if you're not familiar, they move fast. So they were starting to work on some of the houses. They wanted to get water there. And so they knew that what they had some ideas. They weren't sure exactly where they were going. So they basically built a water line and have been utilizing it. There's more segments to it that you don't see.
Right.
But we're only taking over what we think is necessary for this project.
And how long ago again was that established?
My recollection is it's been in there for a couple of years, like 1 to 2 years. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So right now, before we made the connection, where was the water served, or was it just pipe in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, it was interconnected, I think, off of the RV park is my
Okay.
understanding.
I see.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
That's it? Okay, I just thought I'd fill in a little bit, Antonio. That was questioned at the committee meeting, that especially Director Boatwright's question about that second short red line, and tribe members were there at the committee meeting, and they informed us, because that was a question that came up, couldn't that be looped? And apparently that line runs to a very steep area, and it's not going to be looped very easily. That was what the consensus was, as I remember.
So I've been out there since then. There is a road that continues south, ties right into Tuolumne Road. Theoretically, we could loop if we felt like there was some operational reason. I don't know if there is. Yeah, so you would have to be, a lot more to happen to utilize it as a loop.
Right,
but
right.
It's a place where you could put a pipeline down the road, but I think what they were saying is that the area is so steep, they wouldn't develop it.
Right, right. And the places where I know I had asked a question to the committee meeting, because it connects to a 4-inch line, that there's going to be changes in the future. It's just a matter of time that everything will be moved up to 8-inch over a period of time. May be a while, but it will be upgraded at some point in time. Okay, if there's no more from the board, is there anyone from the group out there? Nope. Okay, and I'll bring it back to the board for a motion, action.
I'll move that we approve this item.
I'll second.
Okay, no more conversation. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, 4-0. Yep.
Okay, next order of business, staff reports. Who wants to start?
Moving on. I do have some late breaking news exciting news I wanted to share with the board. And as you know, this is on the topic of Sierra Pines, right? Sierra Pines Regional Wastewater Treatment Facility to consolidate a bunch of our systems and many other systems. We've been waiting for months, or maybe not, or even years, for some funding opportunities. We've been promised that funding would be coming. Seems like they've been dangling the carrot out there for a long, long time. Well, I just received a letter late last week saying that asking me to sign on the dotted line for a funding package.
So it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's roughly $24 million in grants, $10 million in 0% loan, and then $8 million in low interest loan. So I'm going to look for an opportunity to bring this to the board for full consideration before I sign this. Anyway, good news, finally. So
Thank you.
Right on. Good. Thank you.
We like
Yeah.
that kind of news.
Yeah. So just 24 million in grants. 27. Okay, I wrote that wrong.
Did I say
27 million in grants,
details.
10 million in 0% loan, and 8 in low interest loan. 2.3%. Nice.
Yeah, pretty exciting. Eric and his team put in an awful lot of time, especially Eric, in this effort. So it's finally, it feels really good to be right here, right now, finally with the opportunity. So this will change the way the district operates for the good.
Yeah,
For
big time.
the long haul, for our community, for generations to come. So
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, the state's broke, so the fact they're scratching everywhere they can to give us little Tolman County, $27 million is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And maybe you know the full amount, but approximately how many treatment plants will go away with this?
6.
6. Nice.
Some of them are already in process.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Pretty
good
amazing.
news. Really good news.
Stations and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Anyway, I'll look for an opportunity to get this on a board agenda. Oh, they only give me 30 days to sign this thing, get it back to them. We've been waiting for years. I get 30 days. So
Yeah.
I'll work with Melissa to either get it on the 22nd and hope that's enough, or maybe a special board meeting in between now and the 22nd. So we can just have a full discussion with the board.
Okay, good. Right on. Good job, you guys. Ron, you had something?
Well, I'm just wondering if to expedite things, is there any, because it's not agenda item, maybe you can't answer this, but is there any stumbling points or anything that maybe the board could be mulling over in the meantime?
Well, it's not agendized, and I'd rather give the full board. We have gone through a budget, trying to figure out what this plant's going to cost, and this funding amount doesn't quite close the gap on that. So the staff has to figure out how we're going to close the gap on between the funding and what we think the actual cost is. So there's that work that still needs to be done. We're confident we can come up with ways to close this funding gap, but that's to be determined down the road.
It'd be nice to know too, what the savings is, approximate, not to the penny, but if 6 plants are gonna be shut down, it'd be kind of nice to know the round figure of the savings of all this infrastructure that we finally, that's aged and has problems. We're finally gonna be able to get off our back because of that project.
I feel like during the TWS studying part, we identified those numbers, but those are 2018 numbers. I'm sure we can bring them forward to current numbers.
Actually, I direct the board to look back in earlier this year. We did an update to the board. I can send out the exact, and it was the treated water system optimization plan. We went through that, and I think some of your questions were addressed at that time, and they're still pretty relevant current numbers. But it's the capital savings, not the O&M savings, that's the real driver with this project.
Anything else, Ron?
No.
Okay. Any other questions for Don? Okay.
Great job.
Eric Hall?
Morning. See, the September 24th went to the Tuolumne County Fire Safety Council with EN2, just to kind of give them an update where we are with that project that we're moving forward with there. It's got some really good feedback from them. And then October 2nd, we had our Phoenix EAP tabletop for the dam. We're required to do that every 5 years. We bring other people in and just sit down and go over the emergency action plan, update it, get feedback, and just make sure everybody knows what to do in case we have an emergency.
That's it. Good. Thank you. Eric, the other Eric, two Erics. Carolyn, nothing? Abby?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Happy Water Professionals Appreciation Week. You guys all established that at the last meeting, so thank you very much. And we shared that resolution with the employees here of the district. And in the spirit of that, we have received a number of compliments via our customers or members of the public for several employees here at the district over the last few weeks. And so I just would like to go over those with you just to, so you can kind of see what we're hearing from members of the public. The first two commendations that we've received in the last 3 weeks actually are for the same employee. And you have heard me share with you commendations for this employee on a number of occasions. Kalisha Finn in our customer service division works for Carolyn. She's been with the district for about 10 years now. She's a customer service representative too. And just, she has a gift with people. She represents the district so well, and I just wanted to acknowledge her today. So I'm going to read a couple of compliments that she's received. So we had one married couple that shared a phone call with her supervisor and said that normally managers get complaints and I don't always do this, but I wanted y'all to know how wonderful Kalisha is. She is very polite and most importantly, helpful. I'm a business manager for a nonprofit organization. I know how important good customer service is. As a consumer and a manager, I detest when people give you a half answers and no follow-up. Good job, Kalisha. So that was in September. And then a couple weeks before that, Kalisha received actually a compliment through employee. This was actually through Don. One of his friends sent him a text message and wanted to pay a compliment to a TUD employee, which after some digging, we found out it was Kalisha. He said she was very helpful when he called and asked for someone to come check his meter to see if he still had a leak. He was out of town when a pipe broke in his irrigation system and he had repaired, but wanted to make sure that it was his only leak. He went on to say that she was not only helpful and prompt, but her great attitude was a breath of fresh air. He said, she is great. And he wanted Dawn to know that she's a keeper. So we just want to say thank you to Kalisha because she's the first one that you talk to when you call the district. And so she has a very tough job. Some days are tougher than others, but you know, if you ever hear her talking to a customer, she, like I said, she has a gift. So she's wonderful. And then in the same department, customer service, we have a new employee. Her name is Fina Cope. And she received a nice little handwritten note in with someone's payment. And it just says that the lady over the phone that she spoke with on her matter was extremely helpful and wanted to have her give her a thank you. So thank you to Fina Cope. She's been with us for about 6. Okay, I was going to say 6. It's probably been about 9 months. So she's been really great. And then we have 2 more, both in operations, one in water distribution. And we got a voicemail from a customer who said that he had a water leak. And Jeremy Myers, who is also he's been here about a year with the distribution department. He's a meter technician. He came out and this customer wanted to tell us that he really represents our company well. And he was polite and courteous and solved the problem for him. And he just he is happy he got good service and he wanted to make sure that he passed that on to the powers that be. So Jeremy was the guy and an A+. So thank you for that. Jeremy does a great job in that. He's caught on very, very fast. Matt Nolte has shared with me that has learned that job in the quickest he's ever seen. So as far as meters go, because there's 14,000 of them, and to know the routes and know where the meters are, it does take quite some time when you're reading them every 2 months. And then finally, Antonio shared this with us about Aiden Whitmer, who is our collections foreman over in wastewater, and sent an email to Eric Hall, and Rich, his supervisor, that a customer who lives in the Gold Spring area was called in and said that Aiden was out there with a crew clearing his easement on his property, and the owner was surprised that there was a sewer easement. So at first, I think he was a little caught off guard, but Aiden explained the situation, referred the customer or talked to the customer about what type of work they do on easements, and then also referred him to Antonio for any other information he might have. And the customer was super happy with the information Aiden had shared with him and just wanted to make sure that he passed that along to us. So really awesome. Just happy when we get these. It's nice, you know, every once in a while, you get other types of comments and feedback, but it's really nice when people go out of their way and share that with us. And, you know, obviously we're very proud of the employees here at TUD and just want to thank them again. The last thing I wanted to bring up was Eric Hall and I participated in a virtual meeting yesterday with CCWD, Calaveras Water District, and Utica Union Power Authority, a couple of other smaller districts in the Calaveras area, and Motherlode Job Training, and a representative from California Rural Water Association, just to kind of come together, talk about staffing issues, talk about maybe some apprentice programs that CRWA has, and Motherlode Job Training is trying to look for some grant funding that might be available. And so I think there was also a representative, Mary Watts, who used to work for Columbia College, and we've worked with her on some staffing and talked about how we could work together on the natural resources program. So it was a good meeting. There's still work to do and a lot of communication to be had, but just thought I'd share that with you. It was a great meeting. Thank you, and that's my report.
Good. Thanks, Abby. It's nice to hear those customer kudos. That's great. Ron?
I just would want to tag on to her report. Staff must be doing something really good because as I go through the claim summary, I see a lot more than I have seen in the past of certifications and that sort of thing being reimbursed. So there's a lot of people taking tests and getting elevated. So something right's happening around here.
Any other staff? I guess that's it, huh? That's everybody that's here, unless Melissa wants to chime in. Or Corey over there, maybe. But okay, we'll move on to director's communication reports. Who wants to start? David?
I'll start. No
Okay.
reports at this time.
Okay. Ron?
Okay. 9:30. Attended and participated in the TUD Ditch Committee meeting. I'll let Director Balin inform you anything on that she wants. She was a chairman of that. 9:30 also attended and participated in the TUD Water Committee meeting, which you just heard about with Antonio, and we just passed that. 10:02 attended and participated in the Mountain Counties Water Resource Association legislative tour. That was pretty interesting. We got to tour the Utica flume out in the Stanislaus River Canyon, and got a lesson on what happened during the big fire out there that took that flume out. So it was pretty informative for us at TUD because of the flume that we depend on that PG&E owns. There was a lot more to that, but I'll leave that to Director Balin also. And then 10:05, I attended the TUCARE Natural Resources Legislative, the TUCARE Natural Resources program that they had at the fairgrounds, and had an opportunity to speak to the fire folks at the CAL FIRE booth and, there was several booths there that had to do with fire prevention and so on. So just try to promote our fire water draft points program that's coming up here pretty quick, and it was pretty good in that respect. So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Ron. I have nothing to report. Director Balin?
Yeah, I'll just kind of tag team here with Director Ringen. As he said that we went on the Mountain Counties tour with our legislators, and these legislators mostly come from the Bay Area, and it really showed. It was quite interesting because we've really focused on where the bulk of California's voters are in terms of getting our message out, which is Southern California. About 4 counties have half the people of California in them, but the Bay Area. The gal, and I forget her last name, Diane, she was the Recreation or National Resources Committee Chair. And so we went out on the 3/4 mile flume. We had a series of presentations from Joel Metzger and let's see, forget the other gal's name, Kelly's fiance. Jessica Self. Okay, thanks. Really great. And I just want to call attention to one slide that I think Jessica put out there, which was the diseconomy of scale. And that slide, if we could, hijack that one, it just showed customers per mile of pipe. And then you just get to us, and there's a couple of municipalities. It just was really worth 1,000 words. I think this was some of the first time that people from San Mateo had been up. And so when we got on the flume, I mean, they just did knock their socks off. And we were really able to say, because we had representatives from TUD and Amador and others say, yeah, this is all of us here. This is it. This is the vulnerability, et cetera. And they were interested in if we had any, they thought, wow, this is a lot of water. And we just saw on this slide, you don't have a lot of people, could you sell us some? It was great. We know where to begin now in our educational process. So it was really great to make those connections. Mutual aid agreements really came up, and how important it is for all of us to work together. And we see that now on the national scale. So that presentation, we had a roundtable discussion after that, which is really important to do. It's like, okay, here's the knowledge. What things can we do to help each other? And there were some good discussion in there. And one of the things that I thought came up that was really very brief, but it was very significant, was El Dorado Water Agency, and he's a policy analyst, Mark Smith, who said that they got their whole water system evaluated as to the valuation of everything, non-consumptive benefit, fire protection, stormwater diversion. They ascribed value to it, and that came up in the ditch committee. And so I thought that was extremely significant. I have a lot of follow-up questions with that because 50% of California's water goes to the environment. I just looked up that fact, and it's not monetized, it goes, and yet when they monetize it, it knocks your socks off. How much value does all that water that leaves our county go to create a wall of fresh water to push brackish out there in the bay, keep it there long enough for us to pump that water down to Southern California? That is a beneficial use of good, clean water, is creating a water wall. I mean, when you look at that, that's pretty significant use of water. So we had a really great discussion, and I'm really hoping TUD can look forward to more of that. I'd definitely love to be a part of that as always, but things change. So that was great. The legislative roundtable, like I mentioned, was really great. And let's see, I think I covered everything. Oh yeah. Then that was on a Wednesday. And then on Friday, we had the executive board meeting for Mountain Counties, and we are really pushing, the governor vetoed a couple of bills that were sort of overlapping with Proposition 4. So we are really campaigning, and Ron, you probably can talk more on the importance of getting the message out to our voters here, how important voting for, all of us voting for Prop 4 is. So that's the Climate Act, and that will have money in it for projects that we could benefit from. So I do not think that we have taken as great as advantage of some of this bond money as we could, but I'm hoping we can with this climate change. The other thing that came out was the, I don't want to use the word ridiculous because that's strong and that's kind of value-ish, but the conundrum and the challenge of the CARB program for, especially when we have to go into emergency response with charged vehicles. So that we talked about during the board agenda was the clean, this is going to be on our future forum, we meaning Mountain Counties, the clean fleet experience webinar is coming up, and we just have a uniqueness here because of our diseconomy of scale to utilize these vehicles as much as we want to. So we, there's a place for them for sure, but we want to be very cautious there. So that's the Prop 4 I talked about. The valuation of ecosystem services, it's a little glossy thing. Ken Payne was the person from El Dorado. He's always on the, to me, a front cutter. And it doesn't surprise me that that team and his replacement is looking at how to evaluate non-consumptive benefits of our water. So I pass that out in hopes of getting it all out there to all of us. So, because it's not a new thinking in a way, but it might be new thinking for a lot of us. Okay. And let's see what, okay, now I'll just move on really quickly to the committees. Start with the Water Committee. We got a chance to get our questions answered with this. With this additional amount of pipe for this project and why it's an amendment. And that the committee provides an environment for us to get our questions asked in a way that something else might come up that we can think of, and it's just more relaxed environment. So appreciate that. And so that was the single agenda item. The ditch committee was a little more lengthy agenda. But Tony Diaz was there along with Emily and Kurt Byers and Eric Hall. And so we had, and Carolyn, of course. And so we had a good discussion on Rick Lynn to get a presentation on where we are with our wildlife defense grant program. And even though I know we did a great job of doing press releases way back when, I think it is important to keep it in the public's eye that we are looking at, where we're at here, and that we hope to get something online, just a little thing, that kind of update. So I appreciate you guys being responsive to that. Just keeping it in the public's eye. We, even though that was back then, here's where we are with it. Hope to get something online by 2025. We talked about raw water draft points along the system. That's part of the grant. And got a status report from Rick Lind, excuse me, on that. I had a discussion with Ron Ringen post ditch committee meeting, and he had made a suggestion that I dig up the old ditch patrol, citizen voluntary patrol proposal, and that I give it to you and staff to take a look at where it was and what it was all about. And so I will do that along with that photo album. So let's see. On that score, most of this was informational only. Let's see. I think I'll probably, we had a good discussion on the historic properties management plan, and I will send some follow-up documentations, even though I passed them out. I'll send them out online. I haven't gotten a chance to do that. So appreciate the time, Don, on that. And we haven't even begun to discuss stormwater, but maybe someday that'll be part of because we handle that on behalf of the whole county. And it needs to be discussed. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Director Jacobs.
Yes, I've got a follow-up question for Barbara. Is it?
Mhm.
So, the ditch water patrol, could you tell us a little more about that, the background of that?
Yes, the original intent of the concept of using volunteers was to, obviously, it comes down to ways to try to hold the ratepayer dollar to stretch staff, to stretch the buck here. So we had at that point in time some retirees that were extremely interested in helping TUD by walking the ditch and, with lanyards and having liability, this and that. I mean, but really having the property owner's permission to begin to be the eyes and ears of TUD and having maybe, something they can fish stuff out, et cetera, but just be there, report leaks when they see them, et cetera, and help
Right.
help out. But at the same time, provide a lot of good community will.
Sure.
And again, these are retirees that were very interested in where their water came from and where it goes.
Right.
And so those are our biggest advocates when they see how much work TUD does.
Right.
And so I'm not talking about them floating snow like inmates and things like that. This is summertime work
Right.
to really help. And so the intent was deliberate. And it was to couple-fold, stretch the buck and build goodwill
Right.
with the neighborhood.
Right.
And spread the message of what it takes when this water flows through your property of keeping it clean.
Yeah.
So, I worked with them, we wrote up a proposal. It actually was under Gary Yeager, may not mean anything to you, but he said, well, we need to do a little sequel on this. And they ran it up the flagpole. And if I remember correctly, about 51% of the people that live along the ditch systems were in favor of it, wanting to go forward.
Yeah.
It's a little sketchy because people go, oh, I don't want people on my property, all that. But once they're, that's why I think we need people on the property in a very controlled way. So I had not come with all of that there to get into a level of discussion. And so I will bring it forward and just for background.
Right.
And I do have like this is typical waiver of liability, that kind of thing. Just administrative stuff. It's not like, they're not like deal killers. So anyway, that, you want me to go on or are you done?
Well, it's very intriguing. I think it kind of reminds me of the Adopt a Highway program. Is it
Yeah.
similar to that, do you think?
Mhm.
Something similar to that?
Mhm. Well, it can be anything you want. It's typical of public agencies to work with volunteers.
And then something else that kind of goes along with some of the things you were talking about, Abby, and getting the youth involved, or I know my grandson just signed up for an Explorer program with law enforcement, and I know the firefighters also have something similar. I don't know if they call it Explorer programmer, but anyways, he's 15 and he's interested in emergency services. Just maybe rolling this kind of thing with the ditches in with some kind of educational or involvement of youth that would, again, just increase community involvement, community outreach, community buy-in, especially with the upcoming generation, that they are invested in our water system. Yeah, I think it's great.
Great. Anything else?
Yes, I missed last meeting. I'm sorry, I was ill. So I didn't get a chance to report on a T-Stan Irwin meeting that I attended with Director Ringen and Director-elect Jeff House. But anyway, there's a lot. It's a real eye opener, and I just can't say too much about how what a huge footprint our Director Ringen has, Vice President Ringen, with that committee and with that group. He's invested countless hours over, countless years. And I just want to tell him how much I appreciate it and commend it, and how much we as a board and as an organization are indebted to him for his labor for that, his labor of love for that. So anyway, just wanted to mention that. And then also I attended with Director Ringen and Director Balin and Director-elect Jeff Hollis, the MCRWA event. And again, at that event, I was again very impressed with Director Balin. Just the time and effort and energy, the investment that she's made, and it's huge. I mean, she's in my book an unsung hero in that arena, and just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate that. You're welcome.
Thank you, Director Jacobs. Okay. All right, that closes up Director's Communications and Reports. So Melinda, would you like to read our closed session item, please? Or Melissa, sorry. What did I say, Melinda? Sorry. You've only been here way longer than I have.
Okay. Closed session A, public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, position general manager.
All right, so we will go to closed session. Back and close the meeting.
There won't be reportable action.
There will be no reportable action, correct?
Or no reportable, just so people aren't waiting.
Yeah, I guess we could, huh? You still got it open? Yeah, there will be no reportable action from this meeting. So we will just close.